My name is Matilda, and I'm here to share the sort of sponsor perspective on how a mid-sized company like Lundbeck, we are working to scale Gen AI with particular focus on accelerating our submission timelines. First, a little bit of context about myself. I've been in the space for the last 15 plus years as a medical writer and now as a manager, and worked in different types of companies. I mentioned Lundbeck is a mid-sized company. We're around 27 FTEs in my area, and we are fortunate to be looking into a future with a maturing pipeline, meaning that submission readiness is high on my agenda. That's also why I'm particularly interested in finding out how we can use generative AI to speed up our submission timelines. So I'll be going over the foundation first. We conducted a pilot last year on a clinical trial report, which helped us set direction, and now we are currently looking into scaling that to accelerate submission timelines. And if we have time, I'll also be happy to share how we've gone more broadly about rolling out an AI strategy, specifically in medical writing, and how we are upskilling our staff. So last year, we set out to implement a Gen AI-driven structured authoring solution. Obviously, we wanted to tap into those efficiency gains that come with such a system. We knew we wanted to start at the CTR level because it's relatively basic, but we also knew we relatively quickly wanted to scale to additional document types. So we did that by running a direct comparison of a CTR that had been manually written by one of our team members, and then compared with CTRs that had been generated by our team but using two different vendor systems. And after preparing the CTR, we subjected it to review by the medical writing group to get their feedback, their endorsement, and then we broadened it out to what we at Lundbeck call a core reporting group. That's a cross-functional group of the project statistician, safety, medical, those types of people. And then we evaluated based on the quality of the output, the ease of use. Obviously, we want something that's regulatory robust, the ability to scale to other document type, and then the sort of the support model that came with implementing this tool. And the outcome was two successful pilots, so both of the AI tools delivered as expected. Both of them were able to generate a fit-for-purpose clinical trial report, but one of them was significantly better. And that's why I'm here with Alpha Life Sciences today. And I'll say a few words about those differentiating factors and what they mean to us at Lundbeck. So first of all, we really liked that it was simple to use and that the output it generated was good quality text. It was very lean, very to the point. And when implementing new ways of working, that's obviously important that people getting used to new approaches, that we can strive to shallow that learning curve for them, right? Then we really like that you can prompt directly in the system, so you can ask it to rewrite the section with specific emphasis on a specific type of adverse events, or expand a summary so that it's slightly more elaborate, or condense other sections. And then while we were running the pilot, Alpha also launched a functionality where the tool can understand and help resolve reviewer comments. And that's obviously music in a medical writer ears, but it also moves us away from that notion that AI can help generate a first draft real quick, and then from then on it's manual. With these functionalities, we saw an opportunity for the AI tool to support us all the way along the step of document development. And then Sharon, you already alluded to the functionality with the key messages. That could be the target product label when we get to the clinical overview. But in my opinion, that really facilitates best practices for submission writing that you align to a set of key messages. At Lundbeck, we call it a storyboard process, so that's a process we start out with before initiating any drafting of clinical summary documents. And this tool has it built in so that it's relatively easy for us to use. So we had a CTR pilot and the functionalities that gave us reason to believe. Next step was about seeing how can we then best use those functionalities to accelerate our submission timelines. And to be able to explain that, I'll first say a few words about what our submission preparation would have looked like without an AI tool, and then I'll move into how I envision it will be with our Prime available. If technical. All right. So, in the good old days, what we would typically do ahead of a submission is that we would front load everything we possibly can to cut that time from headline results to submission. So we would obviously have our phase 1 and 2 CTRs written up. We would prepare the shell for the phase 3 CTR. We would also start working in the clinical summaries and overviews to front load as much as possible. Sometimes we'd even go as far to start putting in X's and Y's. We would say there were X number of this adverse event and Y number of that adverse event. But it's difficult to get much further, and what we found was that reviewers can't really relate to it. They can't give valuable input when you have X's and Y's. So we really stuck with that being sort of the final point, and then we would have to wait until the headline results came to us. And then we would need to first make sure that our conclusions were relatively mature on a CTR level, and it's probably needless to say in an audience of experienced medical writers, but the reason for not jumping into doing everything at once is that we want to avoid that alignment nightmare, right, where we change opinions going back and forth between CTR, summaries, clinical overviews. It's a horrendous process, and it's a time-consuming one and an error-prone one. So for that reason, we do need that staggered development from CTR to clinical summaries to clinical overview. And obviously, depending on the complexity of the submission and what we have at hand, it would typically take us 6 to 9 months. So what we are doing now is that we are feeding the tool with our key messages document. We're feeding it obviously with our phase 1 and 2 CTRs, and then I've agreed with our statisticians that instead of preparing shell GFLs for us, they will actually prepare shells with simulated data in them. And that's important because that will help us transform the way we work with these submissions, because then instead of being stuck with a shell phase 3 CTR, we can actually produce an entire phase 3 CTRs based on simulated data, and then we can use that to also populate the clinical summaries and the clinical overview. So we are going from a sort of a truncated front-loading phase to actually going to a much more elaborate front-loading phase. And then once we get the headline results, then we can exchange. Then we can exchange those simulated data with the real ones, and then they will auto-update into the clinical trial reports, into the clinical summaries, and into the clinical overview, meaning that we'll have a much less staggered but much more parallel process. And then the time after headline results will change from being a manual writing, manual QC process to being much more about checking, okay, where did we not foresee the true outcome, and then focus on reinterpreting those sections. Then the rest can be closed. Where we did foresee the true outcome, we can close that right away, no need to review anymore, and then we can focus on, okay, where were the surprises? We don't know yet how much time we'll be able to save, but I think it looks very promising for us. All right, do we have time for a couple more slides?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because obviously, structured authoring of these types of documents, that's one pillar of what we do, but it's not everything we do in a department like mine. So what we've done is that we started by translating. Lundbeck has a very sort of ambitious vision when it comes to AI, and then we've translated that specifically into a medical writing context. So we did that by a very simple analysis. Where does our time go? What's our time spent on versus what's AI really good at? And then we were also guided by, okay, where can we have the greatest business impact while also considering the feasibility? And you'll see that structured authoring is one out of 4 pillars in our AI strategy. But quite a bit of our time is also spent on those more sort of complex regulatory documents like briefing documents, pediatric plans. They're spent on formatting QC, STAR guide adherence, and then they're also spent on what I call project management aspects of our job, personal productivity elements. So we are targeting all 4 of these, and to be able to do that efficiently, we've sort of gone on a learning journey together to upskill ourselves and become really good at AI. So starting with something as simple as getting access to the tools, and then seeking inspiration. So we've had some external speakers who have inspired us with respect to what AI can do for us. And then we have trained the whole team in different prompting frameworks and responsible use. And that basis has then allowed us to go into a test and try phase where we're really pushing the boundaries, seeing what can AI do for us. We're experimenting, and then we are sharing that with each other, which is very interesting to see. It's very rewarding. It could be in a one-to-one setting where I ask my employees, what did you use AI for since last time we spoke? We have a Teams chat where people share all sorts of great experiences, and then on a department level, we have an AI tip of the month where people are rewarded for, good use cases. And it's very interesting to see over the last, I think we started just over half a year ago with no access to anything, and now the whole department is sort of sizzling with ideas for how to use AI. So, very interesting indeed. So to sum up, we went from GenAI structured authoring CTR pilot that gave us reason to believe. Now we're moving into how we can use that to shift our entire submission timeline forward, and then also building those capabilities and the behavioral changes that are needed to adopt